AITA for refusing to let my ex-husband's wife homeschool my children. I, 31F, share 2 children, 9M and 8F, with my ex-husband Aaron, 35M. Aaron's cheating ended our marriage, and before long he had moved in with Nicole, 34F, and her children, 11, 10, 8, and 6. Aaron and Nicole have a 2-year-old together and they're expecting another child. Even before Aaron and Nicole met, she homeschooled her children, while my kids attend public school. This was mentioned as a problem before they were even married, but I ignored them. Now this has come up again and they are being a thorn in my side about it. Nicole said it is unfair for her children to see mine go to school while hers do not. She told me her kids have become jealous and it's causing issues for her parenting and for her and Aaron's family. I told her this was not my problem and she needed to figure out how to manage that, as that is the life of blended families. Not everything will be the same or equal for the kids from different marriages. Aaron asked me to homeschool a few times and I told him I would not entertain the idea. He even asked the kids who were worried when they came to me about it. They didn't want to leave their friends and teachers and they didn't want to stay home all day like Nicole's kids. I reassured them I would not be saying yes to homeschooling for them. Now Nicole and Aaron are on a mission to make me agree to Nicole homeschooling my kids alongside hers. Apparently they have the 2-year-old started into some form of pre-K homeschooling and they feel it's only fair for my kids to join in too. I said no. I even had my lawyer send their lawyer a letter officially stating my position on this. My lawyer has also documented everything. They asked their lawyer to take this back to court and get a judge to overrule me, but their lawyer told them this would not go in their favor. My ex was so unhappy about it that he told me all of this and it gave me the chance to document that also. Now they're claiming I don't have a good reason to refuse other than to disrupt their home and to keep Nicole from playing a bigger role in the lives of my children, and to prevent sibling bonding between Nicole's kids and mine. I told them I have many reasons to say no and they just need to accept it. I stopped replying after this. But since school ended for the summer, I have been inundated with pressure from them over this. They are worried that I'll send them to school in September as planned, which will happen. I feel like the kids wanting to go to school should also count, and I told Aaron this before. But AITA for not being willing to try. Is it really so hard to believe I just want my kids to attend school normally? Story 2. For pulling away from my parents because they always decide to break bad news on important days for me. This was a long-running thing with my parents and something my siblings, 19 and 17, commented on. I, 21M, am the oldest of 3. And starting at a young age, my parents have made weird decisions about breaking bad news. It started when I was 7. I was the lead in our school play, and 20 minutes before the play starts my parents decided to announce my great-grandma was dying. They had known about it for days at that point and waited to tell us and said they needed a good moment. Then they acted super shocked when I bawled in front of everyone. I messed up the whole play and couldn't get a single line right. Then when I was 9, it was the day of my assessment for learning disabilities. My parents announced on the way home that Dad had lost his job 3 weeks prior, so they could have waited another day or two to tell us and we'd have to make a lot of changes in our lives. At the time I wondered if they saw my learning disabilities as a burden on top of everything and resented me for it. The morning of my 10th birthday party, not my actual birthday but a few of days after, they told us they had to put our dog down 2 days before and had not sent him to our grandparents' house for a few days to not have him running around during the party. They announced they were getting a divorce on my 15th birthday. My mom waited until my graduation to announce she was diagnosed with cancer. She'd known for 2 months. Just waited, and again on a day important for me. When I moved out for college I dropped the rope. I didn't call or text. I didn't even check in on Mom. I spoke to my siblings every day, sometimes twice a day. But I didn't invest in my relationship with my parents. I didn't go to either house for Christmas or summer break. I figured out other stuff. They called a few times and I answered, but I would always make it short and to the point. My siblings said my parents thought I was just being a typical first-time college kid, but it started to get more obvious by the first Christmas after I moved out. They avoided bringing it up until this summer when they saw on Insta that I moved into an apartment with 3 of my plans and we decided to put down roots here. They brought up the elephant in the room and I was honest. They asked me why I never talked to them about it and I said it wasn't something I should have to bring up because they weren't announcing things as they happened. They'd wait and that shit felt intentional. I said they didn't forget when my birthday was or that I was 10 minutes away from performing in the school play. and the lack of sensitivity made them less approachable. Both of them think I was petty to pull away for this. My siblings think they're just heavily in denial. Story 3. For telling my husband if he forces his daughter to go to school with poor hygiene as punishment, I will divorce him. Advice needed. 41F, have a daughter, 10F, from a previous relationship, and my husband, 35M, has a daughter, 13F, from a previous relationship. My stepdaughter has been the near-perfect child for a long time. She hasn't ever needed to be punished since I've with her father, until recently. She had a problem with another girl, 13F, at school. The other girl made fun of my stepdaughter's lesbian mom, and my stepdaughter made fun of the other girl's poor mom. The parents of the other girl grounded her for 3 weeks. My husband wanted his daughter's punishment to match the crime. Since his daughter make fun of the other girl's financial situation, my husband wants his daughter feel like how it is to be extremely poor. The other family isn't extremely poor, by the way. His plan for his daughter is to go to school with poor hygiene for 3 days. No shower, no deodorant, no brushing of teeth, and reused clothes. I told him if he goes through with this plan, I will divorce him. Story 4. AITA for not allowing my stepdaughter to go on a trip my father had prepared for my own daughter. Me, 30F, and my daughter Rose, 15F, have been without my husband for many years after his passing. My daughter had always had a special bond with her grandfather in replace of her father's passing. He had always been there with us even through the grieving and hard times. They would spend some weekends together going to a lake house my father had owned, using jet skis, boats, and whatnot. Well, I ended up falling into an amazing relationship with my now 32M husband for 2 years. He has a daughter Lily, 16F, who I love just as much as my own daughter. She's never really met my father since he lives quite some ways away. The one time they've even came in contact is when he had came over for dinner, but she sat upstairs in her room all night not even giving him a hello. No problem, maybe she wasn't ready. Who knows? I brushed it off. Well, last weekend my father calls me and asks my daughter Rose if she would like to go to the lake house that following weekend, and to bring some friends. She was so excited and immediately said yes. My stepdaughter walked in and asked what all the noise was about. When my daughter told her, she asked almost immediately if she could come and bring some friends. Rose didn't want her to come, even knowing she doesn't even know my dad. I told Lily I would ask. When I called my dad the following evening to ask, he told me respectfully no, he doesn't exactly know who she really is and how he would like to spend time with his granddaughter. I told him that's absolutely fine. When I told Lily that my dad had said no, she threw an absolute fit, yelling and calling me names all over the fact that she wasn't allowed to go to this lake house. Well, Lily ended up running to her father crying. My husband thinks it's unfair and can't see exactly where my father is coming from. But I don't know. Story 5. I didn't let my husband eat my sandwich. My husband and I were chilling on the couch and I mentioned I was hungry. I placed an order from one of our favorite sandwich shops. I asked him 3 times while ordering if he would like one as well, and he said number 3 times. He had just had breakfast and wasn't hungry. The sandwich arrived and I cut off a small bit of it to eat then and save the rest for later. I don't have a large appetite, I'm kind of a grazer. I take 1 bite and he says, "Oh, I want a bite of that." I said, "Why didn't you order yourself one?" "I wasn't hungry until I smelled yours." I ended up letting him have 3 bites of mine and told him to order his own. I don't like sharing food unless it's planned. He knows this. We've been together for 10 years. I literally have to hide snacks from him because he will find them and eat them because I don't eat all of it at once. He orders his sandwich. It's 30 minutes delivery. He wants another bite of mine. I said no. Now I'm a crazy, selfish hypocrite who won't share food. He has now brought up every meal we've had the past 2 weeks as an example of his food generosity. Mind you, every meal was planned to be shared. Now we aren't speaking. Story 6. AITA for silently changing my son's name after my brother and SIL gave my nephew the name too. My wife and I had our son 4 months ago. We had a name chosen early in her pregnancy. We kept that name to ourselves, but my SIL, married to my brother, found it out when she was still pregnant with my nephew, almost 7 months old. She never said how. She just told us she loved the name, congrats, and she couldn't wait to meet him. We assume she snooped because she was not told. I even mentioned it to my brother and he said that his wife does like to browse through people's things like it was no biggie. Then when my nephew was born they announced his name and it was the name we chose. First, middle and last name. My brother called right after SIL posted the announcement and he told me to keep quiet because his wife had a rough birth and she didn't need drama and he knew we might not like it but she really wanted the name. Her reason? My brother and I have matching twin-like names and SIL wanted to connect our two boys by just giving them the same name so they were each other's namesake. My wife and I talked it over and we decided to pick a different name. But we'd pretend to keep the original name until there was zero risk of SIL changing my nephew's name. 6 months after a birth is harder to make a change in our state. We only started telling people the true name last week. My parents and sisters said it made sense. Friends and my ilse understood why we did it. My brother told me I upset his wife by silently doing this shit and taking away her choice to match the boys. He told me it was a dick move. I told him his wife using the full name we chose was a dick move. I asked him if he considered how much tougher it would be with both boys enrolled in the same schools with the very same name. Not to mention banking, doctors, dental, all kinds of stuff. He told me plenty of people have the same name and it's not a big deal and it's harder to mix shit up now and we're just trying to gatekeep names. I think he's cray. So does my wife. She said he clearly doesn't want SIL to be mad. But AITA for what I did. Like, are we weird for thinking of this kind of stuff? Story 7. AITA for telling my husband he will have to handle it on his own right now. I am 36F, my husband is 40. My mama, 82, has breast cancer. This is her 3rd time having it and she's too tired to do chemo again. She is refusing it. She is tired of fighting and wants to go out with dignity at home. My mama is hands down the best person and mama I could have ever had. I don't think she has ever once raised her voice. She is the most caring person I've ever met. She is just as good of a grandmother as well. There are 14 of us and I am the youngest. She raised 14 babies and 27 grandbabies, 6 great-grands and probably just as many friends of babies and grandbabies. Never once raising her voice or hands to one of them. She is incredible. She and my dad have been together for 64 years and I know as soon as mama goes daddy will be right behind her. He looks like he has aged 10 years in just a few weeks. He's still doing everything he can for mama but neither of them are doing well. All of my siblings and I have been taking turns staying with them around the clock. On the days I'm there I am pretty much just making sure my kids are good for the night, fixing them dinner and then going over there. My husband is supposed to get them to bed and then off to school in the morning. It isn't difficult, my kids know what to do, all he has to do is get them to bed and fix them a breakfast in the morning and wait with them for the bus. This has been a problem and my husband is angry about it. He feels like I'm spending too much time away from home and putting too much on his plate. I'm already devastated about losing my mama. I don't have the best amount of patience right now. The last time my husband and I got into an argument I'd just gotten home with the kids after taking them to spend an hour with my parents. I had them dinner fixed, all it needed was to be warmed up. My husband got angry that I was dropping the kids off and leaving and I basically went off on him and told him my mama is dying and he is just going to have to deal with it right now. Since then we haven't spoken, he's basically giving me the silent treatment. I'm upset about everything going on and very angry with my husband right now. However, IDK if I was in a hole for going off on him. I don't think he fully deserved it and we haven't spent time apart since we got married 12 years ago, so maybe I was being in a hole. I know it isn't easy for him right now either, but I really expected him to step up and help considering the circumstances. I mean, they are his kids after all. He should be able to handle it. Story 8. AITA for telling my brother-in-law I will never forgive his daughter and I have no intention of ever having her near my family. So the people involved here, me, 30F, my husband, 35M, my older sister, 35F, my sister's son Kevin, 14M, her husband Joe, 40M, Joe's daughter Kelly, 15F. My sister had a blended family with her bio son, her husband, and her stepdaughter. I would say it was still a work in progress for them, but we all accepted and included Joe and Kelly into our lives. A few weeks ago, my husband and I organized a little get-together at our place to celebrate my birthday and for people in our family to spend time with our 6-month-old son. The people present were my sister and her family plus our parents, so very intimate and chill. Everything went well and nothing out of the ordinary happened. But some days after the gathering my nephew Kevin came to our house and asked to speak to me about something concerning. For info, Kevin and Kelly attend the same school and have some mutual friends. My nephew told me that Kelly has been telling her friends that during the gathering she has seen her step-uncle's, my husband's, organ. She claims she was in the bathroom. My husband entered without knocking and he had his organ outside his pants, and this is how she ended up seeing it. This is absurd because my husband does not do this even when we are alone in our home, and honestly, who does that when they know they have guests over? So I asked everybody who were present that day to meet at my parents' house and confronted Kelly. She started crying and confesses she lied to her friends. According to her, all of her girlfriends have already had some sort of intimacy and experiences, and she had none by this point. So she invented this story to look cool in front of her friends. I lost it. I called her a disgusting POS, a psychopath, and told her she risked my son's father's life just to boost her stupid social life among her friends. I told the rest of my family that going forward I will never bring my family near Kelly again. The consequences for this girl came fast. My nephew told everybody at school the truth. My sister and Joe went to school and informed the principal about what happened, so in case any teacher hears that BS, they know it's made up so they don't take action. My parents cut contact with her and will not host her in their house anymore, and my sister refuses to have Kelly live with them, so she was permanently moved to her mother's place. Before you start judging my sister for this, please keep in mind that she has a bio son who needs to be protected. If Kelly could so easily invent and tell those things about my husband, who can guarantee she will not lie about her stepbrother too? Now Joe is obviously hurt and torn about everything that happened. He keeps telling me that Kelly is depressed and wants to apologize to my family, but I keep refusing. I explained to him that I don't need her apology and she shouldn't waste her time with this because I will never forget what happened or move past it. Joe keeps begging me to forgive her because she is just a stupid teenager, and maybe if my sister sees me forgiving her she will be willing to eventually accept Kelly back. I told Joe that a stupid teenager can have the power to ruin a man's life and reputation, so I am not risking it. Also, I fully support my sister and I want to protect my nephew too. Before Kelly was moved to her mother's, Kevin stayed with me and my husband for some days. So I don't regret my decision at all. I stand by everything that I said, but I feel bad for my BIL. Regardless of how messed up his daughter is, he is a great guy, respectful, and he really values the concept of family and honesty. So IDK, I guess I want to ask if I was the AH towards him. Story 9. AITA for feeling resentful towards my GF. I, 28F, and my GF, 29F, have been together for around 7 years. She is definitely my person, and I want to preface by saying I don't want to break up but want advice on communication. I have a higher sex drive than my girl and I am totally fine with that. She has vaginismus and told me she never wants me to go down on her or inside. This was a tough one to get over, but I've come to accept it because as much as I think therapy and gradual exposure could help, at the end of the day it's her choice, and if she's happy with the way we handle things alternatively then I don't mind. The issue is that whenever we get in the mood I never know where the boundary lies. She will get super into dirty talk and say things that catch me off guard, even, not in a bad way, just surprising, and then next time when I do the same she immediately laughs and says, "Why are you saying that? It's so cringe," or "Sorry, I love you, I'm just not into that kind of stuff," or that the role play is a bit too much. Sometimes she likes me being physically rough, like tossing her around, but then other times she will get really upset and then totally shut it down. Lastly, if I am too tired to get into it she will make playful jabs about it, but if I do the same she gets a bit miffed and says she was too tired and I know that, etc. etc. I am understanding, but I'm starting to feel resentment coming up, to the point that when she gets physical in the back of my mind I want to reject her just because I want to be petty. But I know that's not mature, but I also just am at a loss, like, am I being overly sensitive? Is this a case of just missing communication, or is this a deeper issue that I should consider the future while I am still young-ish? Story 10. AITA for adopting a dog after I thought my boyfriend broke up with me. My boyfriend was going through a tough time, and he said he needed a break. He said he was going to press pause on our relationship and go visit his family in Washington. I asked how you pause a relationship, because I don't understand how that works. He said he needed some time to work on himself and asked me to respect that. After he left I reached out to him a few times via text asking him to let me know he arrived safe and to say hi to his mom for me. I received no response. I tried to call and left a message asking if he had broken up with me. I came to the conclusion that he'd ghosted me, and my friends agreed. I was bummed, and my best friend recommended I find something like a new hobby or a new show to watch that wouldn't make me think of my boyfriend. I decided to get a dog. My boyfriend is horribly allergic to pet dander, so I never even considered getting a pet. However, since he broke up with me, I decided to get one. He's a senior dog from the shelter that needed rescuing. He's low energy and likes to lay with his head in my lap while I read, work, or watch TV. After 6 weeks away, my boyfriend texted me that he was back and coming over tomorrow, which was yesterday, so we could talk. I was shocked and texted him back asking what he was talking about. He said he was back and ready to unpause our relationship. He said he would talk to me about everything the next day. I texted back asking what relationship. He didn't answer. Yesterday he showed up and told me he had done a lot of self-examination and was ready to move forward on his life path. He even wanted to talk about moving in together. Then he saw my dog and started freaking out. He asked me how I could get a dog when I know how sick he gets. I told him that since he broke up with me, I didn't think it mattered. He said he didn't break up with me. I said he ghosted me. He said he communicated with me telling me he was pressing pause and visiting family. I said not answering texts is ghosting. We argued in circles and then he said he had to leave because he was getting an allergic reaction, even though he was standing in the doorway, not inside. I feel like he broke up with me and it was okay that I got a dog. He says that he never did and therefore it's a horrible act of disregard to have gotten a dog. Which of us is right? My best friend said I should break up with him because he's a jerk. I don't think I should have to break up with someone that already broke up with me. If I break up with him, I'm basically agreeing with him that he didn't break up with me and therefore I was an asshole for getting the dog. Right. Story 11. AITA for humiliating my husband's lifelong friend after she insulted my parenting style in my own home. Throwaway account, because my friends of mine know my main. Fake names for privacy. Hi everyone. I, 29F, have been married to Leo, 31M, for 5 years, and we have a 5-year-old daughter and a 10-month-old son. Leo's childhood friend, Sarah, has always been part of his life. I've tried to be polite with her, even though she has a habit of making snarky comments about me whenever she gets the chance. Since Leo is a pretty reserved person and doesn't have many close friends, I just let it slide for years. A couple of nights ago, we hosted a dinner party with some old friends, and Sarah came along. There was a fair bit of wine, and Sarah got tipsy enough to run her mouth. She started going on about how Leo had always told everyone he'd stay single until 35 and how wild it was that he'd married someone like me so soon. It made the whole table awkward. Leo tried to calm me down and asked me to brush it off because she was drunk. But it didn't stop there. Later that night, our daughter was playing on her tablet. She has mild sensory processing issues, and sometimes screen time helps her calm down. Sarah saw it and loudly said, "Wow, I can't believe you just throw a screen in front of your kid like that. If I had a child, I'd never let them rot their brain with that garbage." That was my breaking point. I told her to shut her mouth and mind her own business. I reminded her that this was my house, my family, and my child, and she was in no position to judge anyone's parenting while she couldn't even manage to hold down a relationship or live with someone other than her cats. She burst into tears and left shortly after, and most of the guests followed. Since then, Leo has told me he gets why I was upset but thinks I was way too harsh, especially given Sarah has had depression since her ex-fiancé cheated on her a couple of years ago. Her friends have been texting me telling me I'm a monster and demanding I apologize. I blocked them that I don't really feel bad. Sarah has made countless passive-aggressive digs for years, and this was just the final straw. When I told Leo about all her other subtle insults that he never noticed, he was stunned. He ended up blocking her too, and now some of their old friend group is torn apart. Still, a little voice in my head wonders if I went too far by throwing her personal life back in her face. Sarah is clearly struggling, but she kept poking at me and my parenting.